Welcome to this episode of Blended, Blessed, and Always a Mess. I'm Aric.
And I'm Angie.
We are married with a ton of kids.
We have 6 kids total. He has 3 and I have 3.
My name's Hallie and I love riding horses.
I'm Lexi and I love agriculture.
My name's Carter and I love eating.
My name's Chase and I love lifting weights.
My name's Summer and I love spending my parents' money.
I'm Dane and I love baseball.
Our show is about our blended, blessed, and always a mess life. And our hope is if you find yourself in the same situation we are in, that by sharing our story, all the fun and all the mess, the challenges we are experiencing, it will give you some inspirations, laughs, and community, knowing you are not alone in this mess.
We appreciate you spending time with us. Let's dive in.
This episode of Blended, Blessed, and Always a Mess is sponsored by the children's book Feathers Matter. As our kids grow up, they face challenges in their life, and knowing their self-worth and their value is crucial to face the headwinds. Purchase this beautiful story to read to your kids and grandkids and start the conversation with them at a young age. They are worthy, they matter, and their feathers matter. You can find a link to order on our Blended, Blessed, alwaysamess.com page. Mention code #blessed for an autographed copy. Welcome to this week's episode of Blended, Blessed, and Always a Mess, where it is summertime. Summertime. Fresh Prince, DJ Jazzy Jeff.
I don't recall that one being a
what?
song of theirs.
Seriously? You don't remember summer? I mean, it was the jam. The music video,
maybe
around 1990-ish.
Right.
I mean, summertime. And then, anyway, okay. Cruising 2 miles an hour so everybody sees you. There's an air of joy and of love, and this is the Fresh Prince's new definition of summer madness. Summertime. No?
Okay, I think it's coming back to me.
The listeners, they're like, yes, summertime. That was a great song. Great jam. That's where we're at. And that's kind of the theme for today's episode, the things that happen during summertime.
And this summer season starts with new life.
Right out of the gate.
Which is always just such a little gift from God when you get to snuggle a brand new 2-day-old baby. So Eric's sister Lauren had a little boy named Maverick, which their oldest son is Hallie's godson. So it was just a sweet night. We went over there and got to hold him and snuggle up with him. And you always feel like God's presence, I feel like, with the new little baby.
Yeah, he's just 2 days old. So we actually just got home from taking them dinner and doing baby snuggles. I love that new baby smell. I mean, some people are like, what? New babies have, it's like a new car smell, new house smell. New baby's got that new baby smell. I love it. Got to do that. And naming him Maverick, at some point, he's got to be like, to his brother, he's got to be like, talk to me, Goose. You
totally.
Just assume. I mean, assuming that they watch Top Gun with him at some point, he's going to want to like be a fighter pilot or something like that. So
you're already planning out his future.
Yeah, just try to be the best uncle I can be. You had a really funny story last night when you got home. I had some baseball stuff I was doing. You went to see your horsey, as Hallie would say.
Yeah. Yeah, I either Hallie is like cracking up at me or she's really embarrassed or
combo.
It's both. Or she's like, I just really can't watch this every time Mom goes to see Phoenix. I'm not really sure. I wish I knew what she was thinking, but I usually try to go see Phoenix at least once a week. So we have a lot of new listeners. So we'll try to add in some backstories for our new listeners. But Hallie always dreamed of having a foal. Like that was a complete bucket list item for her. And she was always studying like lines of horses and pick out different matches between studs and mares. And, before she passed, there was an opportunity for her to have a foal as a gift when she was still alive. But her boyfriend decided to do a gun safe instead. And it's really kind of ironic.
The irony.
Really kind of ironic, especially how she passed. But those stories are for a later time. At some point, we will divulge in a lot of things that happened prior to losing Hallie. But so shortly after she died, I learned that she had sights on a foal that she'd picked the stud out for, and she wanted first dibs on it. So I just bought it. I'm just I'm buying it.
Yeah.
And
We're gonna
scared
do
of
Hallie's
horses.
dream for Hallie.
Right. I'm going to make it happen anyway because that's how I roll. If this is something she wanted and someone said no and it was her dream, and there's an opportunity and there's a sign that this is what she picked out, then I'm going to make it happen. And even though I am scared to death of horses, I know nothing about them. And even though Hallie was obsessed at a young age and I brought her to the barn from like 8 to 10 years old till she could drive herself, I really didn't have to know anything about them because she figured it all out on her own. And
Which is crazy when you think about it, as she was so young.
she was so young, but she was so passionate about, I mean, she was on like a horse knowledge bowl in like 4-H, and she just was obsessed with it. So I just never had to absorb any of that. I just didn't. She talked about horses all the time, but like the day to day, I'm dumb. And I don't know anything about them. So
I would say though, it is like, even for me, like I am scared when we go out there. It's a massive animal. So I'm not comfortable. Like, and you're out there way more than me. I mean, the only time I've seen is like when Carter went out there and he was just like, this is what you do. I was like, man, son. He's like, well, Dad, I've messed with cattle for the last 10 years of my life on his farm at his mom's house. So he wasn't scared, but you and I are like,
well, they're sensitive. And like, there's a lot of things that you know about their actions that clue you in on what's going on. But I feel like you have to develop that the more you're around them. And so I'm just completely ignorant, and anyway, so I just like to go out there. She loves to be like, she loves scratches. She loves scratches on her neck and her body and her booty. Like she just likes scratches. And it's so peaceful for me to go out there in this field or when she's in her stall. And it's where I feel Hallie the most. So I went out there the other night and I'm just hanging with her in the field, and she's in this field with another young horse. And, she was kind of in this mood where she really didn't want too much to do with me. She came up to me right away. And so I'm giving her scratches. And then this other horse comes along and they're just kind of like hanging out with their buddy. So she'd go for a kind of a walk. And then I'm like, okay, well, I'm just going to hang here and just enjoy the quietness.
and the cicadas.
And yeah. So she'd come back and I'd give her little scratches and she'd go off again. But so I'm just standing there watching her. And I noticed that like she is like went pee, which if you've ever been, this sounds so dumb. But if you've ever been around horses, like they pee a lot. And when they start going pee, it sounds like someone is like dumping a bucket of water. I mean, it's like a lot.
There's a reason it said, you've got to pee like a racehorse. I mean, it's like, it's a lot.
It's a lot. So it kind of caught me off guard because she just like peed a little bit and then she would like go a little bit further. And it's like she was trying to go pee and couldn't.
I'm proud of you for recognizing that.
I know.
That's a step. You're learning.
Yeah. Getting more in tune. And I watched her for like 20 minutes. I'm like, this is weird. So, like any horse person would do, because I'm a horse person now.
Right. You've got it all figured out.
Hallie used to make fun of people like me that, you try to dress the part, but you don't know what you're doing. And so I just Google. Let me pull it up.
That's what you do. That's what you do.
Sure I didn't close that tab out.
What did you Google in the line verbatim?
I Googled, what does it mean when a horse pees often, but not very much? And the results were, it was a little bit scary. Like they could have a bladder infection. They could have stones, just like humans. So I'm like, gosh darn it. Is there something like wrong with her? And so anyway, it kept happening. And I ended up messaging the barn owner and I'm like, hey, this is what I messaged her. Is it normal for horses to pee in small increments? I've only seen them go a lot at once, and I'm hanging with Phoenix and she's peed like 5 times, but small amount. Then she's like, she's probably in heat. If it looks like she's having like little small amounts of pee, that's being in heat. Welcome to owning a mare. I'm like, oh my God. Okay. Well, is that why the horse that's hanging with her also has his business out?
Bound chicken wow wow.
She's like, yep, he's a little stud. His name's Bougie. And most of the girls are little beep.
Let's get it on.
Yes. So I'm like,
let's
oh.
get it horsey on.
Okay, so will they get it on? Because isn't she like a little too young for that?
You're dealing with a teenager.
Like, what is happening? Do I need to separate them too?
Yeah.
Like,
what are
do
we
I
doing?
need to sit down and have a talk with Phoenix about
Let's talk about the
keeping
birds
her-
and the bees
Yes.
with the horsies.
She's like, no, they won't do that. She's too young. So I'm like, oh, okay. So they're just flirting with mom watching. That's what's happening right now in this field. She's like, well, they're kind of, hormonal, like 12-year-olds going through puberty. They don't really know what to do or why they feel that way. Like, oh my gosh. So I was a little bit relieved, but then I decided to go walk up to the barn because sometimes Kitty, the barn owner, is up there. And so I go walk into the barn and she's sitting there cracking up. She's like, I am going to save that text and I'm going to read it anytime I want to giggle. I'm like, oh, I know nothing about horses. Here I'm worried that she's got a bladder infection and she's really just in heat.
That's funny. You told me last night we got home and I laughed at you in bed and I'm still laughing about it today. It's a good story.
I'm always going to be learning. I have years and years of things to learn. But she's like, I'm glad you were asking questions.
That's how you learn.
Well, you're gonna be laughing at me for a long time. But we are.
Spindrift break brought to you by
What kind do you have tonight?
Lemonade sparkling water. And for those of you who are concerned that I'm drinking beer again on this, it's sparkling water. So, and I want the Spindrift sponsorship. So if anybody can help me with that, that would be fantastic. Lemonade, lime, and blood orange. Those are my three flavors that I really enjoy.
But what's your favorite?
Either the lemonade or the lime. One of those
Got it.
two. Others, I don't like sparkling water, but the thing about these, it's freshly squeezed fruit.
Oh, can you tell a difference?
Absolutely, I can. 100%. Yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
So
All right.
we, as podcasters ourselves, we also listen to other podcasts. And
Right.
sometimes we do that for, just learning purposes, but also, I walk a lot these days. And so I like to fill the time with a podcast. My whole life has been filled with music and I still love music, but I look at it now as an opportunity to either learn or to heal my heart, to bring me comfort in the grief that we're in. So one of the podcasts that you got me on a while back was Game Changers with Molly Fletcher. And now you, being who you are, you're kind of trying to develop an even deeper relationship with her over the next several months.
Yes, I'm excited because we have a women's event with my company I work for, and she's going to be our guest. So I'm going to get to meet her in October. She has a new book coming out, but her podcasts are awesome. They always include a guest, and usually it's someone famous. So she's been a sports agent for many, many years, and she's kind of known as the female version of Jerry Maguire. And so she's had all kinds of great guests on her podcast, but she recently started doing just her own. It's just her talking. And I listened to one about the three tips for navigating change, which that is the only constant in life is change. It's always going to be changing. So it's a very relevant topic, but it applies to us, obviously, but also to our kids. And, Aric kicked it off with it's summertime, and we switched things up this summer. We decided, actually, I think this was one that I suggested maybe, but I have had a house cleaner for, I don't even know how long time. And it's one of those things that you prioritize. Everybody has their own set of priorities and what they want to focus on and where they want to spend their time, money, all the things, right? For me, it absolutely is like lowers my stress level when the house is clean. And with a bunch of kids, even
me too.
What?
I mean, I absolutely love a clean house. Like I'm a neat freak. So yes, I don't like things out of place. I don't like things dirty. When most people come over and like, oh, your house is so clean. I'm like, no, it's not. We got things to clean up in here. And our kids even like, what is dirty? And I'm like, oh, there are things. You need to look around and wipe down that counter.
Yeah. So for me, even when the kids were little, I had a cleaner. It was always something that I prioritized. I still cleaned, but like we wanted someone. It was a high priority. So I've had a house cleaner for many, many years. And for whatever reason, in the last month or two, I came up with the idea that we would pause our house cleaner for the summer. I will say in the summer it is a little bit stressful having a house cleaner when you have kids that sleep till 11 o'clock and the cleaner shows up at 7:30.
Yeah, they can't get in the kids' room.
Have a dog and I'm trying to work from home and all of this stuff. Like summertime just feels a little crazy, but it's like, you know what? We have 4 kids at home who don't really have a lot of chores at all. I mean, there's the standard of like, put your laundry away, bring the hangers from your laundry room, make your bed, empty the dishwasher type of thing. But they really have never had to clean a toilet or mop floors type thing. So we decided that we're going to pause our cleaner through the summer, and we sat them down at dinner one night and said, okay, here's the deal. On Tuesdays, we're cleaning the house, and it's from this window from 10 to 12. Don't want to hear any complaints. You can get up by 10. Oh my God, how terrible. You asked me that. And knock them out. So I share all that, and that we're like 2 weeks in, I guess.
2 or 3 weeks in. I think it's going pretty well.
It's worked out well. We basically, Aric and I, come up with a list for each kid. I put it on a piece of paper. Each kid has their own piece of paper with a box to check of the 4 or 5 things that they have to do that day. It's different every week, so it's not the same things. Mm-hmm. But I also want them to get used to having a set of tasks, checking it off, managing their time, all the things.
It's habit building.
Right. But it is kind of funny because they also have not really had to clean before. I'm kind of embarrassed to say that a little bit, but
they've been a little bit on the spoiled side.
Yes. Well, and I haven't had to clean. So that's the thing too. It's like sometimes they want them to do chores, but there's really not much for them to do. So this creates easy chores for them. But it was funny. I don't think I shared this with you, but we knew it was going to be a learning experience of like some of the chores. Like, how do you take the stainless steel cleaner, which is, it's like kind of like wax, right? And you have to clean it a certain way. And the other day, Summer's task where I put vacuum all the rooms, because if I just say the house, then I don't think the bathrooms get done.
I'm sure you're correct.
Right. So I put vacuum all the rooms. Anyway, I'm in meetings all day long, and she was getting ready to go somewhere, and I went into the kitchen, and I'm like, I mean, the kitchen is the messiest floor, I feel like, and there's stuff, I could see stuff on the floor, and I'm like, what happened in here? Because she had vacuumed, and I thought maybe someone had made something, right, and they're messy. And
can I guess
I'm like,
what happened? I don't know what happened here, so can I guess?
Yeah.
Like if our listeners were listening and they're trying to guess, you said clean all the room, vacuum the rooms. So I'm going to guess she just did the bedrooms.
Yeah. And the bathrooms.
Oh, wow.
So I said, well, did you vacuum the kitchen? And she's like, no, you didn't tell me to. You told me to do the rooms. I'm like, well, isn't the kitchen a room? She's like, why? And I'm thinking, why would I have you vacuum just the bedrooms and not the kitchen?
That is
so funny. But anyway, so yeah, that's the type of chores we have them do on top of the normal ones. Like we had Carter and Chase clean the garage, which I have OCD about our garage. Like I want it sprayed out, swept out, sprayed out, mopped, so it smells good in there.
I had never met anyone that did that until I met Angie. And I do love it. I do love having a clean garage. And
you're not tracking it in the house either. And I like to pull in, and I like for the garage to smell good. So I have like 2 Glade plugins in there, which I always get people a compliment, like that your garage smells good. And so that's some of the, just to give our listeners ideas of some of the chores, like clean the microwave. Summer did that the other day. She's like, oh, this microwave's gross. Yeah. It's different when you actually have to clean it. It's
maybe you
gross.
Take care of it a little bit more at that point. Yeah.
Cleaning the toilets, wiping off countertops, clean out from under their bed. That was something the other day. I saw a sock kind of out from under Chase's, and I look underneath there, I'm like, dear God. Well, there's 5 socks underneath there. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Dust bunny the size of Polly. I think what is under there?
Him and Carter are our 2 room strugglers, I would say. They have a lot of things that get like under the bed because they just, Mm-hmm.
So, water plants, clean the mirrors, clean off the patio furniture, organize closets. I mean, when you start thinking about it, there's definitely chores that are good for kids to do. But I say all that go ahead.
I was just going to say, I saw something this week, and it was like patio furniture and the guy was like vacuuming it, cleaning, blowing it off, and he picked up the cushion, and a big black snake was under the cushion of the patio furniture.
I know how much that.
I'm just saying, like I saw it, and now I'm like, oh my goodness. So anyway, yeah.
Okay,
I was like,
I'm not going to sit on the furniture anymore.
Just saying. So sorry to interrupt you there.
All good. So I say all that with the chores, and that a lot of times, like, you think about chores being tasks that are cleaning or different things like that. But I'll tie it back to the podcast with Molly Fletcher. I listened to that podcast about 3 tips of dealing with change. And I'm like, this is perfect for our kids to listen to, because although they have been through so much change that you'd think that they would understand, right? That it's not in your control and all of things. But I still feel like it's life along. And how do you develop the right tools to be able to adapt and overcome? Because that is the constant when you look at people that are successful, is their ability to pivot and navigate change. So this past week, we added it to their chore list and said, you know what? We also want you all to listen to this podcast. You have to have it done by Monday at 5:00. And that is going to be our dinner topic. And also, if you did not listen to it, or you try to fake your way through it, not that any of our kids would ever do that.
Ever. Angels.
Right.
Almost a sainthood.
Oh, yeah. It's just so easy parenting that you'll lose your device until you sit down, listen to it, and take notes.
But then when they be like, hey, we need our device to listen to it.
Oh, I'll provide the device. I already thought of that. Yes. But it was good. They were annoyed. I mean, it's not like they jumped up and down like, oh my God, great. I really was wanting to listen to a podcast. Dane wasn't sure why the lady was talking so fast. Like, you have it on a high speed. No, I don't. Yeah.
Literally everybody's like, Dane, it's on a high speed. And it was. So.
But I do think I think they saw value in it, and it ended up being a really good conversation with just how they interpreted it and their takeaways, because we had them all go around and share what they learned. So a lot of it is stuff that we've probably all heard, but when you try to control everything and you literally are not in control, that's where anxiety and stress comes from. And how do you navigate that? And a lot of it is pausing and thinking about, what can I really control? At the end of the day, if you write all that down when you're going through a stressful situation, it's not much that you can actually control. The only thing you can control or influence is how you respond to it.
Your mindset, as she talked about.
The mindset. It narrows your lens of influence if you sit down, pause, and write out what you can actually control and what you can't control. Another line in there that I love, this is what I share with the kids, is she said several times that the hard prepares you for the harder stuff. Because, as you know, kids think that they have it so rough, and this is like such a challenging time in their life. And if I could just get through high school, if I just get through college, if I could just, it's like, no, it actually, Aric burst their bubble. Like, this is easy right now. Yeah, like, you're hard. You haven't even hit the hard stuff. Now, I will say it's hard to say that with the kids.
Sure.
Because they have been through the most horrific thing that you could imagine. So you have to kind of share that delicately, because they've been through the hard. Hopefully that's the hardest thing that they've ever had to go through, is to watch their sister take her last breath and to be living the rest of their life without their sister. But I do think listening even to other people's perspective, not just their parents telling them that, about how having challenges right in front of you is really the key that unlocks your strength.
Yeah. I thought it was a great podcast. And again, Game Changers by Molly Fletcher. And so if you're not listening to our podcast, listen to hers. She is really good. I thought, just like you, when you first shared it with me and said, hey, listen to this before we assign it to the kids, and you shared the hard stuff prepares you for the harder stuff, I was like, I don't know that I want to listen to this. But it was such a good reminder of, like you said before, there's only so much that we can control. And the devil actually uses fear to control us. I mean, that's how the devil uses fear. It's to control us. And so if we can think about what we can control, which is very little, but our mindset, which we can tie back to Jesus and the fact that he is with us and he is actually in control of all things. the things that we love and even the things that we don't love. That can give us some peace of mind and some comfort in the times that are challenging and the struggles, for sure. You know, one of the things that you can control is how you spend your time with your kids. And I always give Angie a lot of credit for this because she very intentional about wanting to do things with her kids and show them experiences and things like that. I know for the last 5 years, I've really tried to just be the best version of myself for the kids, best dad I can be. And even a little bit before I met you, but like you kick that into another gear. And so one of the great things we have talked about on the podcast is earlier this year, at my birthday, all the kids gave me a different experience. And so tomorrow, actually, I get to do my experience with Summer, which I'm excited about. Anybody want to guess what Summer and I are doing? I am. Yeah. It's out of my comfort zone. I mean, but Summer wants to do it and I want to show up for her. Like you want to show up for your kids. And so, yeah, I'm excited. Anybody want to guess what I'm doing? No?
Getting your nails painted?
I would not get my nails painted. I would get them done. Like I do like a good pedicure and a manicure. I like a good massage, but we're doing facials tomorrow.
Woo.
Getting this face looking all good for you, woman.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
You also facial get a day tomorrow. Neck and shoulder massage when you get facials.
I didn't know that.
Wait, have you had a facial?
Yes, you and I have had them together before.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, you and I have done it. But facial day, she's excited about it, right? And so for me,
well, here's what I want to. I can't wait to see is if you come out of there with
just a facial.
Right, with just a facial, because Summer, her sales tactics of, oh my God, this cream that they used is phenomenal. I have to have it.
Yeah.
Aric, don't you want it? Wasn't that great? We could share it.
She's going to be great at sales for sure. As I talked with my friend David Hockman yesterday, and he's going to be on our podcast next week. Next weekend's Father's Day weekend. And we're going to talk about being a dad, because him and I both agree that for a long time we didn't do it right. If you're a female and you want your husband or the father of your kids to listen next weekend, I would encourage it. I think it's going to be a really good dive into modeling fatherhood in the way that Jesus models fatherhood to us. And part of that is showing up for your kids, and especially your daughters. And we touch on that next week, in that you want to show up for your daughter in a way that you want a man someday to show up for them. You're modeling that, right? My job is to model for Lexi, for Summer. I try to do it with Hallie in how I want them to be treated. I want them to be shown love, and that, I'll do things that are uncomfortable if it is something that makes them happy, and just, connecting with them at a heart level and not a compliance level, if that makes sense. So we'll talk about that next week too. I just think the older I get, and maybe hopefully, fingers crossed, a little bit wiser, that searching for our kids' hearts is what we have to do as parents, and especially as a dad. To be a strong father means to connect with your kids at their heart level. And I think it's really important for girls that, if they don't see what it's like to be loved by their dad, bonus dad, then they're going to find that somewhere else. And it's not always going to be done well, because they don't know what they're looking for. And so if they find the wrong guy, unfortunately, we have that experience with Hallie. You find somebody that isn't really after their heart in the best way possible, then it doesn't end well all the time. And so that's kind of our job as dads, is to show up in ways that we're chasing after our kids' hearts, right? So we're getting facials tomorrow. And
I can't wait to listen to that podcast. It's going to be a surprise to me too.
Yeah, I think
content.
Well, don't tell people you're not on it. They won't listen. That's what we don't want.
I'm going to be on it at the very end when I show up.
It's going to be, but really excited about it, because I do think that being a dad in this society we live in now is more important than it's ever been. When you just do the research and you look at the research, having a good father as a role model is such an important thing. And so that's what we try to cover next weekend. So excited about that. And my facial, and I've got more baseball this weekend. Dane's got another tournament in the middle of tournament play, and it's only a little over an hour away, so that's not bad. And then Carter, actually, his high school career officially wraps up with a senior all-star game that he's been invited to play in after a very successful career before he goes off to play college baseball. So we have that on Saturday as well. So busy times in the Bremer Phillips household,
and I will
like
hold
always.
Down the fort while you're playing coach. I will hold down the fort.
Well, thank you. Appreciate you. You're a beautiful fort. You're a beautiful fort holder downer.
Thank you.
And then when we get done with this, we're going to go listen to Fresh Prince and DJ Jazzy Jeff.
Yes, you're going to have to play that song for me so I can remember.
Yeah, I'm a lot surprised that is not in your wheelhouse. I'm glad that you learned this week about horses and heat. So
Yes. Yep. That was my big learnings for the week.
and meanwhile, Hallie laughs. So that's my mom.
She knows nothing.
For everybody else listening this week, we know that life is full of ups and downs. We've had lots of them over the last couple of weeks. And so know that we are praying for you. And if you reach out specifically, we'll pray for you. And I would just wrap up, mention that I had a couple people reach out to me this week about a 5-year-old in our community that just died unexpectedly. Parents went in to get him ready for the day and had other siblings. And unfortunately, the child was no longer here on earth. And so it's been a sad time for that family. And we've not had connection with them, but people have brought it up to us, and immediately it breaks our hearts. And so we start praying for them. And
It's a life full of heartache for the rest of their life. That's what I instantly think of, is like, oh man, that mom, the rest of her life is just, her heart's going to be broken.
Yeah. So
it's tough.
Prayers for them. And if there's anything you guys need us to pray for, we're happy to do that too. But otherwise, in the meantime, we hope that you enjoy your summertime, and then have a great week, and God bless.
Thank you for listening to Blended Blessed and Always a Mess. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and at blendedblessedalwaysamess.com.
Reach out to us on any of our social channels. We would love to hear from you. Have a great week.